Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. Two in, I found like I sound like an owl. How are you? 1 in, 2 out. That is the headline as Manchester United reportedly look to move on Dan James and Jesse Lingard in the last few days of this transfer window. Now look, there's a very simple way of looking at this. The best way of looking at this is that if we remove Dan James and Jesse Lingard, we're still stacked, and we can bring one in that makes us even better cover. There's a lot of people going, oh, look at United's cover. We've got Dan James, Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata, but actually we've got too much cover in certain areas and not enough cover in other areas. Massive game for Manchester United today against Wolves. We've got to win this game. Have to win this game against Wolves. A lot of people saying Donny's going to start. He played really well against Wolves 3 months ago and McTominay's injured. I think he's got next to no chance of starting. I'd be over the moon if he starts, and he should start. But ultimately, Ollie doesn't see Donny as a midfielder. So if Ollie doesn't see Donny as a midfielder, he sees him as an attacking midfielder, which means he's Bruno's backup. If he's Bruno's backup, you don't need Lingard. And in relation to Dan James, we've got Ronaldo and Cavani up front. We've got Sancho and Greenwood who can play off the right, as well as Mata who can play off the right. And Elanga. And on the left-hand side, you've got Rashford, Martial and Pogba can play there. We're covered. We're covered across all positions very, very well in the position of Jesse Lingard and Dan James. The interesting thing is, if you put cover for Bruno as Donny, Mata, Bruno, Pogba, they can all play there. The problem area of the pitch, as we know, where we don't have loads of cover, is Matic, Fred, McTominay. Pogba can play there. Donny probably can play there. That's where we need to buy. We need to sell to buy. The two players that need to go, that we don't need, are Dan James and Lingard, which bring you in 30 million, 40 million, which you can then use to buy a midfielder. That's the deal that United should have been doing all summer. The fact that we've waited till the last 2 or 3 days of the window, to me and many others, is confusing to say the least, because we're covered. You can sell Dan James and Lingard right now and we've got the cover. I don't care whether you like them, whether you think they're decent, whether you think they're good squad players. Tell me where they fit in. Tell me where they fit in. Because they're not forwards, and on the width, we've got at least 2 or 3 other options. At number 10, we've got 2 or 3 other options, and they can't play in midfield. We need a midfielder. Dan James and Lingard should have gone a month ago. Those two players could have brought in 40 million quid, and then you bring in your Neves or whoever. So there is time for it to be done. The reports this morning and last night are that Manchester United are looking to move Dan James on, but ridiculously we're talking about a loan. Why do you need to loan Dan James? Why would you loan Dan James? We've had 2 years of Dan James. We know exactly what he is. He's like a tin of Ronseal. He does exactly what he says on the tin. Meep, meep, fast, runs into space, can get a shot off, can get a cross off. A loan move is not developing Dan James. He's not 19. He should be sold. Because he's got no future at United. Brilliant lad. Wish him all the best, but he should be sold. And same with Jesse Lingard. We don't, 15 million, 20 million, I don't really care. Get them out of the club for 30, 40 million, buy it on a midfielder, and, happy days. Happy days. We've got everything that we need there. The interesting thing as well is that I would bring into this, great work on the channel, Mark. Can you call my cousin Ryan a prat, says Fraz. Well, Ryan, you're a prat, apparently. The great thing as well is that in relation to players coming into the club at the moment, and we've got a few updates to bring you in relation to Ollie talking about the goalkeeping situation, speaking specifically about David De Gea. But the interesting thing is that in relation to, I spoke to somebody last night about this, but it's pretty much common knowledge anyway. United have wanted Trippier for about 9 months. They were thinking about getting Trippier last November. They were going to try and get him in January, but then they had the betting scandal, which is now gone. And all through the summer, they really felt that they would get Trippier and Dalot would go on loan. Now, Sky and other outlets are still saying that could happen, but Romano is saying it's not going to happen. But the point I want to make is that in relation to Kieran Trippier, there is 20 to 25 million available that they were going to use to buy him. So the scenario, as I said last night, if Dalot had gone on loan to Dortmund or Milan, that's a loan deal. There's no money coming in. It's a loan deal. They would have then spent, let's say, 25 million on Trippier. There's 25 million sat there. Post Ronaldo, there's 25 million sat there for Kieran Trippier. That 25 million plus just Dan James gives you 40. Plus just Lingard gives you 40. So we have got 40 million if we sell Lingard or James. If we sell both, you know what? Keep a bit back. Cover Ronaldo's wages, whatever. But there is an opportunity here for Manchester United. There are 3 or 4 clubs interested in Dan James. I can tell you Brighton are interested, Leicester are interested, Leeds are interested, and Everton are interested. Those 4 clubs are interested in Dan James right here, right now. In relation to Jesse Lingard, West Ham obviously want him, Leicester are interested, and Everton are interested. So there's Premier League clubs wanting those players, and both of those players are not Phil Jones, they're not Andreas Pereira, they are both players that actually people want because their wages are reasonable. They're sort of around 100k, a bit less in relation to Dan James, and they are players that can offer something to those teams. So both those players could go. What do I think will happen? We might loan. I think we might loan Dan James. I bet we won't get a penny for either of them because I think we've left it too late for whatever reason. But there's definitely about 20-25 million available because that's what they had ready for Trippier. And if you sell one of those players, you've got 40, and that gets you Ruben Neves. So it won't happen. It's too much to be done in too short a period of time. But it is somewhat frustrating in relation to not the larger window. I mean, look, we've got bloody Ronaldo. I'm not going to say I'm frustrated. I'm still elated. But in relation to the midfield situation, it is frustrating that path to a midfielder is so clearly there, and we can all name a midfielder, whether it's Basuma, Ruben Neves, Camavinga, Saul Niguez. There's loads of midfielders that we could have gone for, and the path to it is very much achievable. And you have to, like I said last night, you have to start querying the discussions that have gone on with the board and Solskjaer and everybody else around this midfield situation, because I feel that we've dithered into a scenario where we're so well stacked in the attacking areas but undermined in the midfield areas, and it easily could have been solved. Does Ronaldo develop Greenwood marks? Is Connor 100%. Keep up the great work. I can't see James, Lingard, Martial getting any game time unless there's a catastrophic injury crisis. Time to trim the squad, says Joseph. And welcome to the Members Club, Arthur. Obviously, we have got the watch along for you today as well. And in relation to Ronaldo revealing, Luke, he is with Portugal at the moment. So I would imagine Manchester United will not reveal this deal publicly until Thursday or Friday before we play Newcastle. They might do it tomorrow. They might do it on Tuesday, I suppose, because there's no internationals until Wednesday. But there's not a lot of information about that at the moment, to be honest with you. But yes, 1 in, 2 out is a scenario that United could do. There is still whispers that we're going to do another signing, by the way. There are still whispers around that, so I'm not going to deny that that's not the case. Isn't the idea of loaning Dan James that he'll have a great season, increase his value next summer, says JP? I think it's a stupid idea, JP. I really do. I don't like loan deals. I don't like loan deals. I think that they very rarely work out like that. And there's people that will buy him now. But because it's late in the window, we'll probably have to loan him. You are right. Does Cavani still start for you, Mark, says Connor? No, not anymore. I don't think he's fit enough to start today. And then from when we come back in 2 weeks' time, Ronaldo starts. It's funny because I did that video last night and people were like saying you've been very disrespectful to Cavani. Don't tell me, have an opinion, but don't tell me I'm being disrespectful. I'm not being disrespectful. It's my opinion. You've got a very different opinion. That's up to you. I'm bored of people telling me, put some respect on Cavani's name, what he did for his last season. I'm like, hold on a minute. Cavani was very good last season. We finished second and we won fuck all. Like, what did he actually do that was epic? He scored some brilliant goals and he did a great job for us. I still think he missed about 30-40% of the season. And we're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, if you want to talk about put some respect on somebody's name, put some respect on Cristiano Ronaldo's name. He made us very, very relevant for 3 or 4 years and he's the best player in the world. For me, the Manchester United team, not even a mess, not even a joke. He plays every minute he can. He is an absolute superstar. He is the number one and he must start every game it's possible for him to start. How you work Cavani and Ronaldo into the same team, I think it's going to be very difficult. I think very, very difficult. And I've said this before. I did the video yesterday on how you fit Ronaldo into the team. The thing about Ronaldo in his modern guise is that if he's had a bad game, look, imagine he's playing for United and we don't create many chances, right? And we're 0-0 against Leeds at Ellen Road and there's 5 minutes to go and Ollie goes, Ronaldo, you're coming off and Cavani, you're coming on. Very different type of players. The cross could come in high in the air and the leap of Ronaldo could get up and head it in. Cavani doesn't have that same leap. Ronaldo could have a bad game for 85 minutes with no service and then win us the game. Are you going to take him off for 20 minutes to bring Cavani on? I just don't think that's the way to go. I think you've got to find a way to get them both on the pitch and play with a front two, which in the modern game is very, very difficult. I think there are big similarities between Cavani and Ronaldo in the way that they play football. I don't know that they can play in a front two. I'm sure Ollie's going to have to work it out, and fair play to him. I'm sure he will work it out, because you can't just stick Cavani on the bench all season. He's got to play some games, but when you've got Ronaldo and you've got Cavani, it's very, very difficult to play both players. Could you play Cavani off the left wing? I think it's unfair to play Cavani or Ronaldo off the left wing. I think they're both super players, but I think, for different reasons, they're both, not as mobile, or not even as mobile. Cavani's quite injury prone and Ronaldo's 36. Do you want them running up and down the left wing all game, tracking back the right back? No, not really. Do I think they'd work well in a front two together? Not really. I don't, but I might be proven wrong on that. But no, it's going to be very interesting how we use Cavani. If he was fit today, I probably would have started him. I mean, look, if we didn't buy Ronaldo, I'm very happy with Cavani. But what we have got now is a very, very, a world-class striker in Cavani, and a universe striker in Ronaldo. And, world class against universe, it's Ronaldo, isn't it? So I don't know how he's going to work it, but it's going to be very interesting. It's a nice problem to have. Premier League have Ronaldo listed as number 7, says Tom. And if we don't get a CDM, we could play 4-1-2-1-2 with wingers and 2 strikers, says Jack Birtles. 4-1-2-1-2. Jack, you've just described a 4-4-2. When the days of, somebody said to me yesterday, you don't understand, you can't play with one holding midfielder, and I'm like, well, you don't understand. Do you watch Man City? Do you watch Chelsea? Most of the time it's Rodri and Jorginho on their own, and Kovacic or Kante are bombing forward and backwards. In the olden days, you'd play a 4-4-2. You'd have 2 midfielders doing the same job, whether it's Roy Keane and Ince, whether it's Roy Keane and Scholes. It would be 2 holding midfielders, not 2 holding midfielders, but 2 midfielders. I mean, I spoke to Paul Ince about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't I? And he was like, you didn't really have a role. You weren't a holding midfielder. You weren't an attacking midfielder. If anything, you were just box to box, back and forward, a 6 and an 8. So it's changed, hasn't it? Mejariso, welcome to Members Club. Do you think we have a capability to play a 4-2-4? No, Connor, I don't. I don't think that exists anymore, the 2 midfielders. And also, I don't think we've got the players to do it. We don't have the players to do that. We will be back. Enjoy Ronaldo, says Zayn Miassi. When we get new owners, mostly likely PSG, the tide will turn and maybe Conte will join us, says Zayn Miassi. I think that's Arsenal's rescue mission, isn't it? Is to get a big, massive owner. But look, bringing us back to the headline of the show, because I need to talk about De Gea as well. So, lots of stories last night about Dan James going, probably on loan. Lots of stories last night about Jesse Lingard going, probably for money. Both players can go. I think for anybody who's thinking, let's keep them for squad, let me just say this. Left attacking, well, let me just go through the options you've got. You've got Ronaldo and Cavani for the front 2 positions, and Greenwood backs them up. You've got Rashford and Martial on the left-hand side, and Elanga backs them up. You've got Bruno, Donny, Mata, Pogba, who can play at number 10. And on the right-hand side, you've got Sancho, Greenwood, and Mata can play there. So we've got at least 3 players, and Elanga can play there as well. And Elanga can play up front. So you've got at least 3/4 players for each position in the positions that Dan James and Lingard play. We don't need them. Whether you like them or not, we don't need them. We've got 3/4 players without those 2 who cover each position. In midfield, we haven't got a holding midfielder. We've got Matic, who's old. We've got Fred, who can't do it, and McTominay, who can't do it. And in the number 8 position, we've got Pogba, Van der Beek, and McTominay. We need a holding midfielder. That's what we need. And if you sell James and Lingard and use the money that you were going to use for Trippier, you can buy a very, very decent holding midfielder. And that's what United should be trying to do. What I can't say to you is we're going to do it. But I think we've looked at this a lot over the last 3 or 4 weeks. It's not just a myth. It's not just a, well, we should do this. I've seen this before. I've done it. You've done it. Well, we should buy this player, and we're a bit weak in other areas. We're weak in the midfield. We're stacked in the attack. We don't need Jesse, and we don't need Dan James. And to be honest with you, if I was Jesse and Dan James, and I'm not saying they're watching, but if they'd listened to that last minute, I'd be going, bloody hell, where am I playing games then? How am I getting into this team? Because Edison Cavani's suddenly thinking, where's my game time coming? Am I going to have to move to the left wing? What chance have I got? Rashford's going to be back very, very soon. Now, look, I'm not saying that Ollie won't value Lingard ahead of Van der Beek. I'm not saying he won't value Dan James ahead of Martial. But ultimately, do you need those players? No, you don't. And we could cash in and move them on. Whether we're going to move them on, I would hope one of them goes for money. I would really like to see both of them go for money. I wouldn't be surprised if neither of them go. But there is opportunities for United to do something in the next few days. And the funny thing about this transfer window is I think a lot of people are starting to think, well, that's it. You speak to Liverpool fans, you speak to Chelsea fans, City fans, they're all going, well, that's it. There won't be any business now. I think completely the opposite. I can't give you any guarantees about Manchester United, but I think what this transfer window has shown us is that crazy things can happen. Messi, Ronaldo, Varane, Sancho, Grealish, Ramos, the list goes on and on and on and on. That's all before the last 2-3 days. We know people get desperate in the last 2 or 3 days. I mean, Arsenal are going to do something, aren't they? They've got no points. Even though they've spent a lot already, they will definitely do something. So I think things can happen in the last few days. And I would wager that United were planning on doing things in the last couple of days anyway, because that's where you can save money. The reality is, if I'm blunt, when you go in a supermarket and it's the sales, that's what the last couple of days of the transfer window are like. There are bargains to be had if you are, willing to wait till the very end. And I think United are waiting. And look, some people are even saying that United will still go for Trippier. Now, as I said, I've got nothing against Trippier. I prefer Delot. Got nothing against Trippier. It's a bit like Henderson and De Gea. It's a bit like Van der Beek and McTominay, isn't it? I have my preference. Shaw and Telles. A lot of people wanted Telles to be the starting left back last season. I wanted Shaw. So we all have our different opinions. Ultimately, I want United to do well, and if Trippier comes in, welcome to the club. I hope you do really, really, really well. But what I do know for a fact, and I think everybody knows, is that if we had bought Trippier, or if we do buy Trippier, there is 25 million sat there that United are waiting to buy Trippier with, because Delot's going on loan. So we've already got a starting point for a midfielder. Let's see. And look, Camavinga, is he going to make a decision in the next couple of days? He is a player that United could buy. Is he a holding midfielder? No. Does he give us more depth in the midfield? Yes. Saul Niguez, probably not going to get him on loan, but if we buy him, he does give us some depth in the midfield. And at this late stage, I'd love it to be Basuma or Ruben Neves. It won't be, but I would love it to be. But if it's not going to be those two players, I hope it's Camavinga or Saul Niguez, because we desperately need some sort of... Look, people will say Saul Niguez is not a holding midfielder and Camavinga's not a holding midfielder. And I would be inclined to agree. But they're midfielders. They are midfielders. And you don't know how Ollie's going to put this team together. Ollie might go back to having a two in there that play next to each other, in which case you can play Camavinga with them, you can play Saul Niguez with them. If we're going to play one holding midfielder, that might be quite difficult for them. But ultimately, I want us to get somebody in better than nobody. And at this point, I would take Saul Niguez, I would take Camavinga. I'd love Ruben Neves or Basuma. But look, United are going to have to move, and they're going to have to start moving quick. And I think after tonight, the next 2 days are going to be very interesting. Ollie Board has already said no to offers on both, says Tabres. And Mark, any truth with the Rennes deal on deadline day? Jesse James to be sold would be great business. Don't want Trippier to come to the club, says Chris. Look, we always like, and look, the reports at the moment is that Saul Niguez is going to stay. The reality is Ronaldo wages, just I'm bored, just says, like, I don't get that. I just want to say this before I go back to whether I think the percentage chance of us doing a business on transfer deadline day. Please smash a like on the video, by the way, and remember we have got the watch along coming in. I'm going to talk about De Gea as well. We have got the watch along coming in this afternoon. It's a 4:30 kickoff, and Adam will be doing his road trip on the way down. So lots to get excited about. We must win today. I don't care how we win. I don't care if we're lucky. We've got to win. The reason it's important that we win today is that if we've got 7 points tonight, so have Chelsea and so have Liverpool. We're level with Chelsea and Liverpool. Okay, they've played each other, but I'm not really bothered, because Chelsea fans and Liverpool fans will say, well, we've had a harder start to the season, we've played each other. Man City will say, well, we've had to go to Spurs. I don't care about what fixtures you had. I care about what points we've got. If we've got 7 points tonight and we're level with Chelsea and Liverpool, I'm over the moon. Because when we've got Ronaldo, I'm not bothered about going to Spurs. I'm not bothered about playing Chelsea. I'll deal with those with Ronaldo, with Varane, settled. for me, this game today, it doesn't matter how we win. We have to win. I don't care if it's the dodgiest penalty in the world in the last second of the game. We've got to win today. Because we all know Ronaldo's coming in 2 weeks. We all know in 2 weeks' time, Varane will have more fitness. Sancho will have more fitness. The squad might even have a bloody midfielder in it. So, you know what? What if we bring a holding midfielder in on Tuesday? And we've lost today. We've got catch up. We've got to win today. Got to find a way. I'd love Donny to start as well. On Ronaldo's wages, can I just say, James Ducker of The Telegraph last night was saying he's on 560 grand a week. He said Rafael Varane's on 400 grand a week. Now, he's normally very good and he is well briefed. But I spoke to 3 different people last night and they were like, I don't know where he's getting this information from. And they're people who are well briefed as well. And then you've got somebody came out this morning. I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was The Athletic, but it was somebody quite credible. And they said that Ronaldo has took a pay cut. He was on 480 grand a week at Juventus, and he's come down to about 300k a week. So there's Ducker is basically doubling the wages up. I'm not saying he's wrong, but loads of people are saying he's not on that money. When he was going to Man City, he was going to be on 300 grand a week. So why has his wages been doubled to come to United where he wants to be? So there's some confusion about his wages. But I want to just say this. We need to stop being that club. This is where we get infected by the Glazers and the spin of the club. Chelsea fans never talk about wages or fees because they've got an owner who goes and gets them the best players. Man City fans don't either. Why, as a football club, do Manchester United fans talk about wages and transfer fees? What does it matter? We know we're a very rich club. We know we're in debt and we know that our owners take lots of dividends out like anybody else. This is evidence of a wealthy club. If our owners can take dividends out and no other club does, well, we must be bloody loaded. If we can sit in debt for 16 years, we must be bloody loaded. And we are always at the top in the Premier League for revenue because we're bloody loaded. I want to stop. It's a bit like an addiction. It's trying to quit it. But we do need to stop talking about people's wages and we do need to stop talking about how much we're spending. Because that's Glazonomics. That's them. They do that because we're always thinking about, they're going to be not wanting to spend much money. We should spend money and we shouldn't be acting like accountants. Back to whether I think... Stephen says, Ronaldo brings that mentality. Honestly, the GOAT trophy needed this season. No excuses. I hope so, Stephen. I think Ronaldo is basically the fans in the training in the dressing room. I said this when we bought him. He's got the mentality we've got. He's a winner and he wants to win and he wants the best and he's not got loads of time to wait. Ronaldo hasn't got time for a project. We can't have any more 3 years bollocks. It's now. Could easily play 4-1-3-2 if we can't get a good CDM with Ronaldo as a striker and Cavani as a false 9, given he's got a brilliant passing range. It's going to be interesting, Anarud. I don't know if you discussed it, but Ollie said he started Martial against Southampton because he played well against them last year. And who played well against Wolves, says Joshua. Yeah, it never seems to work for Donny though, Joshua, does it? I did hear Ollie say that, and he does like to pencil people in, doesn't he? Let's talk about what Ollie said about De Gea in a minute, actually. Aaron Wan-Bissaka takes 3 times more touches than Shaw and 4 times more than Trent to progress the ball. Ollie loves Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Fred and McTominay, who kills the tempo, says Rahul. I'm a bit disappointed Ahmed is joining Feyenoord. Thought he would stay in the Prem. Daniel, I spoke about it last night. I'm not going to get into an argument with anybody. Juventus' salary was after tax. He was 1 million per week, says somebody. I'm not happy with Ahmed going to the Dutch league. Memphis came from the Dutch league, didn't do well. Donny was one of the best players in the Dutch league and got benched by Ollie. Ollie sends Ahmad to the Dutch league. The Dutch league is not that good. It's not. Somebody said to me last night, I can't believe Goldbridge was saying that the Championship is better than the Dutch league. I actually think the Championship is better than the Dutch league, but let's not argue. The reality is, does the Championship prepare you better for the Premier League than the Dutch league? Of course it does. I'd rather see him in the Championship, but it's going to happen. Talking about wages and fees is the Arsenal mentality. Excuses for lack of ability to get world-class players, top-class clubs like us. Shouldn't be talking about it, says Vinit. And look, what I wanted to say is this. In relation to whether we're going to do a transfer in the next couple of days, a lot of people are saying, can you do it as a percentage? What are the chances that we sign somebody? I would say 50-50, which is not a bad position to be in. I think there's a 50% chance that we will sign somebody. Do I think we'll sell anybody? Again, I would say 50-50. Now, the reality is it should be higher. There should be an 80% chance we're going to sign a midfielder, and there should be an 80% chance we're going to sell at least 1, maybe 2 players. But at the moment, I think it's very 50-50, and I don't think we're going to start finding out until tonight, tomorrow, as we move into the last couple of days. But I'm excited. At least Ahmad will be coached by Van Persie, says Joseph. Thank you very much for the super chat there. Ollie's already got his new contract on, Rick. He got it after the day after Sancho, didn't he? They just slipped it in very, very quickly. But let's listen to what Ollie had to say about the... Well, not listen. Let me just tell you what Ollie had to say about David De Gea. This is what he's had to say. So, talking about David De Gea, there's a few quotes that have come in. Let me just read them out. Basically, when talking about David De Gea, he said that David De Gea had approached him and said that he wanted to come back and start training early for the summer. And Ollie said, for me, that was a great message, and that I'm here to fight. I'm energised. I've looked at my situation. We'll get everything I can to be the best David De Gea. Which is weird, because apart from missing a penalty, I thought David De Gea played brilliant last year. I mean, people just don't want to remember that game against Roma. It's not like he had a bad year. I think the media do a disservice to De Gea, and I think Ollie sometimes swallows it. He's coaching him. Did he not see that De Gea was brilliant last year? I thought he was brilliant, especially in the last few months. He's also said about De Gea, you need cover in every position. It's a long season. We've been fortunate David has been fit and never really had any injuries. Touch wood. He called me over the summer and asked about coming in earlier and having less holidays. He wanted to be ready. Last season was one for Dean to prove himself, and he did really well, and David had started this one really well. You always want a settled first 11 and don't need to chop and change your goalkeeper as much. When you're a keeper, you don't really run that much. It's more mental energy with some physical. Yeah, you don't need to change your goalkeeper. I'm glad that Solskjaer has acknowledged that changing the goalkeeper regularly is not a good idea, because they don't, a goalkeeper should play every single game. They don't have physical problems. It's a mental battle. And the mental battle is damaged by not knowing whether you're going to play the next game all the time, because you've got Dean Henderson or David De Gea competing with you, which is why most clubs have one number one and a backup keeper, and it's a very clear thing. We had Ben Foster on at the start of the summer, and he said that I don't want to be looking at the bench thinking that goalkeeper's there to take my place. I want to know I'm the keeper. I want to know I'm the manager's number one, and I want to know if I make a mistake, they're going to stick by me. If I make 5 or 6 mistakes, okay, I might lose my place, but I don't want to know that one mistake and I'm out of the team, and that plays on your mind. So Solskjaer is right, even though he's created a situation, unfortunately, where we have got 2 very good goalkeepers. He said that we know the best possible David De Gea is probably the best goalkeeper in the world. He's in his 11th season here, and what a servant we've had. And with his energy, pride and desire, we're very pleased with him. Long may it continue. So look, I mean, I don't know what you can read into that. I personally think that in David De Gea, I agree with Ollie. I think we have got the best goalkeeper in the world when he's playing like he did against Roma a few months ago. He needs to do that consistently. He started this season off very, very well. Couldn't do anything about the goals that we've conceded. I think anybody could agree with that. And he's not made any mistakes in the first 2 games. Hopefully that continues today. What we're going to do with Dean Henderson, though, look, I empathise with this situation. Whether it's David De Gea or Dean Henderson, neither of them should be on the bench. But you can't keep chopping and changing. So I don't know what we're going to do. Realistically, I don't know why we brought Heaton in. To me, I sort of agree with some of the rumours over the summer that we were looking to go with Dean Henderson number 1 and Heaton number 2 and sell De Gea. But that was never logical, because the wages are ridiculous that we pay De Gea. I don't think we were going to get... I don't know what we were doing bringing Heaton in, and I don't know what we're doing having Henderson and De Gea. Ollie clearly knows the situation, that he needs one goalkeeper and one backup. Well, he's got his backup in Heaton. The problem is he's got 2 number 1s. And I don't think De Gea's done anything to be dropped. And I don't think he's done anything this season to be dropped. And even if he made one mistake today, if you listen to what Ben Foster says, and I agree, even if De Gea makes a mistake today, should he be dropped for the next game for one mistake? That's not being loyal to your goalkeeper, is it? And the same with Dean Henderson. Did we drop Dean Henderson for the mistakes he made against Liverpool, or the mistake he made against AC Milan at the end? No, he didn't. He still played the next game, didn't he? So it's a really weird situation, and I don't think it's what was planned. And also, let's not forget, if we'd sold one of those goalkeepers, we'd have the money for a midfielder. So I don't know what's gone on with the goalkeeping situation. Obviously, Mr. Luckhurst from the Manchester Evening News has never stopped talking about how Henderson's the number 1, and yet it never seems to happen. But look, maybe we come back after the international break and De Gea gets dropped and Henderson's number 1, which would be really, really harsh to do that to another club legend who started the season really well. But the reality is, I don't know the situation. You listen to Ollie there, you take it at face value, but then we listen to Ollie talking about Sanchez. Oh, he's got a future and he sold him. I don't know what the future is with the goalkeeping situation, but it's either going to be a mess or somebody's going to spend a lot of time sat on the bench. We need a DM. That's how we're going to scare teams, says Dilton. Can we think about switching to a 4-4-2 formation for a few games with Ronaldo and another forward, says Haley. Harjiv. Well, look, we can talk about this. Why would Manchester United go to a 4-4-2? The only team in the Premier League that I know plays a 4-4-2 regularly is Burnley, and their front two players are basically targets for long balls. You play 4-4-2, you're going to get overrun in the midfield. You can play a 4-4-2 where one of your front players is like Bruno, who gets up to help but then drops back into the midfield. But Cavani and Ronaldo are not going to drop into the midfield. In the modern game, I don't see how you can play two players up front. And I think Cavani and Ronaldo are very similar. Not in the fact that Ronaldo's way better than Cavani, we know that, but they're very similar styles of players. They want to play on the last man. They're both goal scorers. They're both going to be attacking the same space. I don't think people are thinking it through when they go, let's just play two up front. Southampton play two up front as well. You're right, actually, Clint. But my issue with the front two, and I'm not saying it's not going to happen. You're asking me for my opinion and you can have yours. My issue with the front two is that when the cross is coming in from Luke Shaw from the left or it's coming in from Sancho from the right, I'll tell you for free, Ronaldo and Cavani will attack the same space. If they're attacking the same space, you've got two people doing one player's job. We can't moan about McTominay and McFred last year and then say, let's play Cavnaldo or Avani. You can't do that because you're basically going to pick two players to do one person's job. And maybe that's a trap Ollie might fall into. He used to play in a front two, but that was a different world. You know, that was what? 1999, 23 years ago. 22 years ago. But yeah, that's the problem with playing a front two like Cavani and Ronaldo that I envisage, is that they will attack the same space because they're strikers and they're very good strikers. I think you only need to play one, which presents a problem because ultimately it's got to be Ronaldo. Is Cavani happy to sit on the bench for a lot of this season? Is Ronaldo happy to be benched so that Cavani can play the odd Premier League or Champions League game? I mean, look, the problem you've got is that if you say to Ronaldo, I'm benching you because we're playing Norwich at home and I'm giving Cavani a game. If I'm Ronaldo, I'm going, hold on a minute. You're benching me against Norwich. There's 3 goals for me there. I've got fancy Premier League points to play for. But seriously, I've got golden boots to play for. So that's the problem. He's got to find a way to get them both in the same team. And if you're thinking about putting Cavani on the left, well, again, it's another reason to get rid of James and Lingard because it's another player taking up a spot out wide, isn't it? So it's going to be interesting, and we're not going to get any answers for a couple of weeks. Ronaldo, welcome back to Manchester. Mendy, welcome to Strange Ways, says Queen Star. And is it just my opinion, but Henderson comes across as someone whose ego exceeds his talent, says Meb. You've got to have the ego. You've got to have the ego. He's got to have the opportunity to fulfil that ego. But for me, it's a cliche, but the safer pair of hands this season is David De Gea for me. But, I am that. Anyway, look, watch along today. We've got to win. Whatever your team is, whatever your goalkeeper is, whatever your forward line is, whatever your formation is, the most important platform is that we're not going to be able to do that until after the international break. And after the international break is after today. And today we need to win. We need to come back after the international break on level points with Chelsea and Liverpool. To do that, we need to win today. It's going to be very difficult. Wolves are in a false position. They have a lot of chances. I think it's going to be a very different game against Wolves today. I would play Van der Beek because I think it's going to be about who takes their chances, and we need to create chances. So I would start Van der Beek, but I don't know whether Ollie will. Realistically, just on that before I go, playing Ronaldo and Cavani in the same team means letting go of a wide player makes no sense, says Paraz. And Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing here. Viva Ronaldo, running down the wing, here United sing, Viva Ronaldo. Yeah, I love that, Smitty. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say now. Ahmad's going, which we know. Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say. But ultimately, we've got to win today. That's what we've got to do. And we need to create chances today. But what I was going to say is, yes, last week, Southampton, Fred and Matic were shit. McTominay is injured. Fred and Matic were shit. Why start Fred? It's totally wrong to start Fred and Matic today because they were crap last week. Why should they start when Donny was good in pre-season and deserves a chance to start? If that was Lindelof and Maguire and they were shit last week, you'd start Varane. If that was Dan James on the wing last week and he was shit, you'd start Sancho. Donny should start today because Matic and Fred were crap and McTominay's injured. It's Donny's chance today. He should start. 100%. I agree with everybody saying it. It's not like he's coming in for somebody who's played well. Fred and Matic were crap. Donny should come in. I don't think he will. I hope he does. Thanks everyone for watching. Team news is coming out at 3:30. We will be live for that. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner, smash a like, and I'll speak to you all in a bit. We've got to win.